She is an author, international speaker, and business network strategist. Her ability to create quality connections that convert has landed her on HGTV House Hunters, Celebrity Apprentice, and dozens of other TV media appearances. Her real, raw, and relatable style of connecting engages all listeners and viewers in a way that they too can connect, collaborate, and contribute as they build a business based on service, not sales. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Cami Becker.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't believe all the wonderful things that you said about me. I just hope that I can live up to all those great things. I'm humbled.
I know that you're a very busy person, but thanks a lot for finding time. I know it's an odd time there in the US, but thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Oh, it's my honor. You know, I was actually referred to you by a friend, and being referred just goes to show my friend thinks a lot of me and thinks a lot of you. And anytime I get a chance to be interviewed, I'm super excited. But when I'm referred, that's even better.
Wow. And I think this all comes from one single word, which we call as network.
Well, you know, you can call it network, but I'm going to call it net web.
That's an absolutely new terminology for me. Expand more about that. What is the difference between network and net web?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because in my book, Mingled to Millions, The Art and Science of Building Business Relationships and Mastering Referrals, I have been to thousands of networking events. If there's a business card and a boring 30-second elevator pitch, I have been to them. And what I have found is, and you'd have to read the book, I won't get into all of it, but when we go to a networking event, we find the people that are spraying their cards everywhere, and they're the skunks. They're spraying and praying. And then there's the people that are grabbing all the cards and they're putting them in their pocket and they're squirreling them away for another time. There's the sharks going through the room, you know, just looking for the blood. They're looking for somebody to buy their product or join their business or have a coffee. And so if we don't want to be one of those three, what do we want to be? Well, net webbing leverages our time. And there is a fourth archetype that I'll let you read about in the book, and I'll give a free copy to everyone who's watching to learn about net webbing. Because the thing is, when we create a web, whether it's online, face-to-face, et cetera, it's a whole different way of being. And actually, Sensei, what I'd like to do is shift from network, net web, and let's even just call it connecting.
Wow.
Because there's so many people who have a negative connotation about networking. They don't quite understand net webbing yet. But here's the thing. Everyone communicates, as John Maxwell says, few connect.
Yep.
So I am on a mission to help people have quality connections that convert.
Wow. So how does that work? Take us to the next level. How does it work? And what do you do for expanding those connections?
Well, you know what, I teach everything in threes. And so there is setting the intention, there's paying attention, and there's creating the retention. And so, you know, networking or connecting, as we'll call it, a lot of people, when I'm having this conversation, are thinking about events that they're going to, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or a meetup or some kind of business networking. But, you know, we're really networking or connecting anywhere and everywhere that we are.
Absolutely.
And so if we're going to have create the intention, if we're going to set the intention, we want to be present and postured and packaged in such a way that people are receiving us in a totally different way. One of the things I like to talk about is, who are you being? Because it doesn't matter if you're connecting on Facebook, on LinkedIn, in email, if you're at an event, if you're at your kid's soccer game, whatever it is, when you are connecting, who are you being? Are you being confident? Are you walking with your shoulders back? Do you have purpose in who you're being? Are you the kind of person that people want to connect with, whether it's for business or friendship or resources, relationships, revenue that rock? So let's set the intention before we send out that email, before we walk into a venue, before we get on the phone, setting the intention is the first place that it starts.
Wow. Excellent, excellent. Because action without an intention has no meaning.
Well, and dare I say, I've seen a lot of people, and I have been to thousands of networking events over my career. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old. I was buying gum and selling it to kids for a profit when I was 8. So I've always been an entrepreneur, but I've really been on my growth path, my spiritual path, my networking path for about 15 years. And I've been to thousands of events. And so many people, you know, networking doesn't work because it's random activity. People show up late, they walk around, they throw their cards out, they grab a bunch of cards, they think they've done networking, and really all they've done is wasted a bunch of time and a bunch of cards, and nobody's ever doing any business. So this is about really stepping into setting the intention, really understanding what are you there for, and not being in a place of, I need a bunch of leads, I got to find leads, who can I do business with? Because there's an energy of desperation there. People feel it, you feel it, it's uncomfortable. How about we walked into these situations not looking for leads, but planting our seeds?
Wow, that's very strong. What do you do next after that? Let's say let me give you a scenario. You happen to meet me in one of those conferences or meeting or network even, and then we had this kind of connection. We exchange our cards. Tell me, what do you do next? How would you take me to the level that you want me to go?
Well, first of all, when we meet at an event, I'm not just going to exchange with anybody and everybody. That is mistake number one. And in my book, one of the things that I wrote about in the book is stop just throwing your cards everywhere. People have a misconception, they're in a hallucination, that if they hand their cards out, and every event I go to, I'll be going to 3 tomorrow just because I'm going to Boston, and I enjoy the social interaction. Look, I'm introverted. A lot of people who teach networking and connecting are actually extroverts, but I'm introverted, but as human beings, we like to be in a social environment. So when I go out to these events, you know, I see it all the time. Here's my card, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. And people think that they've done some business networking. And the fact is, you have a false sense of security and that you passed out 20 cards and you went networking. But to answer your question, let's take a step back and let's be very focused on quality versus quantity. Let's not just throw the cards out or grab a bunch of cards. Let's actually connect. Let's actually have conversation with people, which leads me into paying attention. So now that you're at the event, instead of spraying and praying or grabbing and grabbing or hustling, let's take a deep breath. Let's be present. Let's be active listeners. Let's not be so focused on the company they keep. Oh, I'm in real estate, he's in mortgage, I got to get his card, or you know, whatever that paradigm is. Let's be more conscious of the company they keep. Is this somebody that you want to have coffee with? Is it somebody that you can connect with? A lot of the people that I coached over the years, and there have been thousands, oh, you know, I went to this event and nothing came out of it. Listen, don't be short-sighted about who's going to buy your product or who's going to join your business right now. Just make 3 connections, because you don't know where those connections are going to lead. So right now we're talking about paying the attention. So it's not just about handing out cards and grabbing cards. When you're paying attention and you have meaningful, masterful, memorable conversation, ditch the elevator pitch. The pitch is dead. Ding dong, the pitch is dead. Stop giving everybody the same boring elevator pitch. Connect with 3 people, because now when we can move into creating retention, that's the follow-up, the follow-through, the creating coffee or getting into collaboration. And so that would be the next thing. And to be able to connect with people and actually build a relationship, if you take a big step back, if you had intention, you were postured, you were early. I could go on and on about getting there early enough to help out with the leaders of the group. and the psychology and the mentality about why that is. But if you go with purpose, if you are not, hey, what do you do? Hey, what do you do? Hey, what do you do with your canned 30-second elevator pitch? If you actually have meaningful conversation with 3 or 4 people, and if you go ahead and set up the follow-up right then and there, guess what? Now, when you do have the create retention part and you meet with those people, you actually have something to follow up about. You had great conversation. You want to finish the energy that you were putting together, and it's fun. See, the biggest problem people have is they spray and pray. They ask people what they do, and they don't really care. They have no meaningful connection. Then they want to follow up, but they never do. I have gotten and given out tens of thousands of business cards. I will say, hey, I'm new to the area. I need an insurance person. Here's my card. Call me. They don't call. So if you want to have meaningful, masterful, memorable conversation and connect and actually follow up and have retention of the resources and relationships and revenue, it all starts with, what is your intention? How are you paying attention so that you can create the retention?
Wow, that's fantastic. Cami, it was a great honor and pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you very much for taking your time. Ladies and gentlemen, Cami Baker.